Why were community language schools, which had COVID-safe plans in place, abruptly forced back to remote learning 2 weeks ago? And will you detail the rationale behind the decision?
Mr. President, I thank the honourable member for her question in relation to decisions that have been made about the operation of community language schools. Obviously, any advice that comes out from the department in relation to any restrictions or changes in relation to COVID-19 is based on advice that comes from health. I don't have that advice with me in the chamber right now. I'll see if I can get it before the end of question time, but if not, I'll come back to the member shortly. Certainly, my recollection, and again, I would prefer to have the exact data or detail in front of me, but that it was about concern about different students from different parts of the community coming together and how that was going to work is my recollection, but I would prefer, rather than just rely on a recollection, to get the detail and bring it back to the member as soon as I can.
Supplementary question?
Yes. The member on a supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. President. Would the minister elucidate her answer on the advice, and could you guarantee that students will be able to return to face-to-face learning in Term 4?
So as I said in my earlier answer, Mr. President, I'll get the details. What I can guarantee is that we will look to lift any restrictions that we can in relation to any COVID advice that comes to our communities based on what health tells us. And I think we've seen that throughout the pandemic. Each term we provide updated advice to schools in relation to what we need to do in our school communities to make sure that we keep them safe. This is something that we are continually working on with health. If there are restrictions that we can ease, whether it's in relation to community language schools or sport or parents coming on school sites, these are things that we actively consider on advice from health. We intend to produce some updated guidelines to school communities at the start of Term 4. It will all be based on health advice, Mr. President. That is the sensible thing to do. But I can give the member the guarantee that we are looking at what we can do to get back to a sense of normal as soon as we can, as long as it's in line with the advice that health gives us.
Yes. The honourable member on a second supplementary.
Thank you. I'd like the minister, if possible, to elucidate that part of the answer in relation to the health advice which led to the return of remote learning at community language schools. Given the additional resources required for remote learning as required by the health advice, will you commit to providing additional funding for community language schools in the upcoming budget to ensure compliance with the health advice?
That's up to you. Do you want? Are you making a point of order? Yes. I'm trying to work. Yes, to the point of order.
The minister, in her answer, specifically spoke about the resources that were being provided in order to facilitate remote learning. This is seeking an elucidation and talking about the support and the resources that are provided in order to ensure that COVID-safe operations occur. This is seeking an elucidation of that part of her answer.
To that point of order, to that contribution as well, it was a specific question about budget allocation, which is a new question it might be.
I actually saw it while she was asking it as a new question. I really did. I found it difficult to see how that was a supplementary. And I'm sure that it'll be an excellent question for another time.